Rabbi said in the Mishnah, he had said that Eidim can passel. So the Havamina was that the Baldover can passel to Eidim. So the reaction of Reish Lakish was, and I quote, Eich pe kodesh amadav kazeh. Said Reish Lakish on how's it possible that a person would go ahead and say such a thing? Someone is Eich pe kodesh amadav kazeh. That was the lashon of the Gemara, right? Pe kodesh, not Eich pe kodesh. Pe kodesh yoyim adav zeh. So he said, Tani Eido, don't learn Eidim, but Eidoif. That was, now, the Gemara now goes to Gufa. So usually Gufa would be to discuss the Eidoi, which we did already. The Gufa is go to digress to discuss how could Reish Lakish go ahead and refer to Rabbi Meir with that lashon. That's what the Gemara is gonna. We're up to Chav Daled Amud Aleph. And this is Rabbi Avi. Before it gets wide, go up 4 lines. Before it gets wide, I'm gonna go up 4 lines. Gufa, Amar Reish Lakish, Pek Kodesh, the Pek Kodesh of Remeya, Yoimed Davazeh, to say that what that the Baldava can pass to Eidim. So Tani Edo don't learn Eidim, but learn Eidai one. Inni is it really so that Reish Lakish is miyache so much covered to Rebbe Wat to Remeya by calling him Pek Kodesh. Ayvama Ula. Haroyas Reish Lakish bebeis hamedrash. Anyone who saw Reish Lakish in the beis medrash, ki'ilu oike harim. Reish Lakish was like lifting up mountains. B'toichanim zeh b'zeh, and he was grinding one next to the other with his pilpul, with his tremendous analysis, his ability to go ahead with his charifis. He was mamish grinding the mountains together. That was the level of scholarship of Reish Lakish. So we're wondering that how could he go ahead and be mevatel himself to Rameya in such an extent if he was such a great person, Reish Lakish? Ravina, why do you being matama? But like kolaroya Rameya bebeis medrash, anyone who saw Rameya in the beis medrash, kilu oiker, not harim, guys, be medayik, kilu oiker, harim, mamish Mount Everest, right? Mamish the biggest mountains. He was the biggest mountains. The toichanim zebezeh, right? So, and I quote to you guys the Gemara. The Gemara, my Golis Yom brings down the Gemara describing Remeya in Erev in Yud Gimel. And this is the reason why Machloikas Rabbi Yehuda Remeya, Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda. The Lashon of the Gemara, Shalayachal Chaverav Lamoid al Seif Daitai. They couldn't go ahead and understand him. Shehu Oimer al Tamei Tahar, Umar Leiponim, Harishahaya Bikoyach Lakar Hanachais Kevuais, Velitchanesan Becharifusai. You see that what he would take the given, the mountain, he would take the tamei, and with his charifis, the toichin, and make it tahar. So the Gemara substantiates the gavaldic greatness in Gemara and Yud Gimel, and Erevin, the gavaldic greatness right of Rebbe Meir. So that's why he was. So what the Gemara wants to know. So why? What's the kasha? We can understand why Rabbi Shlakish would say Peh Kodesh, speaking about such glowing terms about Reb Meir. So says the Gemara, Hachi Kamar. This is what the Gemara means to say. Look how the Bnei Eretz Yisrael mechavim each other. Let's see Rashi, guys. Kama Kloimar Loyat Muye Kometama. Don't list it as a lashon of wonderment that Reish Lakish, wow, how could he go ahead and laud Meir to the extent he did? Alahachi Kamar. Bo'rei Kama b'nei Eretz Yisrael mechavim zeh. The b'nei Eretz Yisrael, Reish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan, how they were endeared to each other and spoke glowingly about each other. The Reish Lakish charif v'chacham tuva have. Reish Lakish, as we saw, was charif v'chacham tuva. Remember, guys, the Gemara in Bab Mitzia, when Reish Lakish was nifta, Rabbi Yochanan fell apart, right? Because he bought Rabbi Elazar ben Padas, and everything Rabbi Yochanan said, Rabbi Elazar ben Padas brought a bunch of rayas to. And whatever Rabbi Yochanan said, I would say something, and Reish Lakish would bomb me out, and Mela Rafka the Shmaitza. So you see from the Charifis, he argued with the great Rabbi Yochanan, the greatest Amoyer of all time. So it was unbelievable. V'karei Rabbi Meir Peh Kodesh, and he, this great Chorif, Reish Lakish, He called Remeya Pekadosh become a Chavim lay because he was so dear. He was so dear. Umiyashev is a double iskayim, and therefore he's miyashev the double iskayim that. Um, so I don't know exactly what that means. Miyashev is double iskayim. I guess the matter should be mekuyim that Pekadosh who he was. So Mamela, that's what it means. We're not questioning why he said it. We're going ahead and read it as a statement. Kama, how dear, what, how they treated each other. Now the Gemara goes off and describes the difference between Bnei Eretz Yisrael and Bnei Bavel. Bnei Eretz Yisrael and Bnei Bavel. Ki Hayosef Rebbe, the Kamar, when Rebbe would sit and he would say, Asala hatminis atzoinin. On Shabbos, if you're worried about your water getting warm, it's us to go ahead and insulate cold water. Amal lefan of Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yossi, said Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yossi, in front of Rabbi, Abba, my father, Rabbi Yossi Chalafta, hitter lahatminis atzoinin. He matted it. He said you could do it. So Amalei. So what did Rabbi do? He reversed his opinion right away. Kvar hoyre zakein. He already gave the hayra that you can go ahead and insulate cold. I'm not going to go against that. Amra Papa Borei Kam Mechavim Zezeh. Go and look and see how dear they are to each other. Deal Rabbi Yossi Kayim. If Rabbi Yossi was alive, Hayakofif V'Yosef Ne Rebbe, he would be subservient and sit in front of Rebbe. You know why? That he was Memale Makom. Rashi says Choshev Kaviv. Rabbi Shmuel was his Choshev as his father. And he was his Choshev his father, and he was subservient to Rebbe. So his father also would have been subservient to Rebbe. And nonetheless, what did Rebbe say? That what you can go ahead and insulate cold. So you see again the tremendous chavivis that they had in Eretz Yisrael between the great Tanoim and in case of Reish Lakish, the Amorim to Reb Meir. On Rabbi Shaya, Maidich Siv, the pasuk says in Zechariah, right? The pasuk says, "Ve'ekach li shnei maklois." I took two sticks. Liachas karasi noyam. So he called one stick Noyam, and he called one stick Choivlim. What does that mean? Noyam, art school ties to this gracious. I thought Neimus means like with a sweetness, like they go. So gracious, I guess, is a nice type. Karasi Choivlim, to hit somebody. So you hit somebody with it. Noam, when it's that stick Noyam, who's Noyam? They go ahead, they're very, very sweet to each other. They're very gracious to each other when they learn. They're very gracious to each other when they learn. And chayvlim, and the ones who assault each other, the lashon of az Rashi brings in strength, is that's Talmidei Chacham beBavel. Those are the Talmidei Chacham of Bavel. Says Rashi, b'lashon az v'chema. The anger, Makshim Zelazel, Uben Eretz Yisrael, Noichim Yachad, they would go with ease together, Umayonim Yachad, look into the matter together, Umesachnim Zez Divrei Zeh, they would correct each other, Vashmua Yoitzel Or, and as a result, the Shmuel would go ahead and see the light of day. So this the Gemara is lauding the difference between Bnei Eretz Yisrael and Bnei Bavel. Bnei Eretz Yisrael as Noyam, and Bnei Bavel as Choivlim, as those who go ahead and hit each other. V'yomar, again, a pasuk in Yoel, a pasuk in Yoel. The pasuk says, "Eila vayomer Eila shnei bnei hayitzar ha'imdim," and the pasuk says, "Ushnayim zeisim aleha yitzar." What does that mean? Amar Yitzchak, "Elu tamid v'cham shevet Yisrael." When you compare to oil, that's a tamid v'cham Eretz Yisrael. Shenaychim zel zeh ba'alacha. They're very at ease with each other in halacha. Like olive oil just sits there. They sat together. Keshem and Zayis. Shenaychim zel zeh ba'alacha. Keshem and Zayis. Ushnayim zeisim aleha. Elu tamid chacham shebebavel shemayim zelazeh halacha. If you look on the side, the Mesoras Hashas, so you probably have a number that to go up to Mesoras Hashas. Hainu Elon Shozayis. This refers to what the tree itself, the leaves of the tree or the bark. Ayin Taisus Erevin and Taisus in what in Psachim, which speaks about the bitterness of. Because in other words, olives are not bitter, but the olive leaves and the trees are very bitter. So we're comparing what the people in Bavel, the bitterness of their learning together, to an olive tree. So Shamayim Zelazeh Halacha Kizayis. The Esa Einai, the Era Vihine Shtayim Noshim Yoitzis two women were going out, the ruach bekanfeim, and there was ruach underneath their wings. What's the pasuk say? Ulohena kanafayim kikanfei chasida, and one of them had wings like the wings of the chasida bird. Batisena sa'efam ve'in aretz ben shemayim. V'oimer el hamalech hadoiver ki ona hema malchus sa'efa. Where are you taking it to? V'yomer elai libnois lo bayis beretz shinar, to build a house in Bavel. V'huchan v'nuchasham al muchanasa. So they're bringing allegorically, they're bringing all these women are bringing to Bavel and Ephah. So what exactly is going on over here? Says the Gemara. Am Rabbi Yochanan, Mishra of Shimon ben Yochai, Zu Chanufa v'gasis ruach. When it refers to the women who are blown up, that refers to what? Their sense of self. They're blown up. V'gasis ruach, and the Chanufa and the gasis ruach, they're full of themselves. The Chasida makes itself, you know what Chanifa is, guys? What's Chanifa? Chanifa is that you show that you flatter people. You don't really mean it. And you flatter people. Why do we know about the Chasida bird? Why is the Chasida bird is treif? Because it only does chesed what? With its own. It doesn't do chesed with others. It only does chesed with its own. So again, that's classic Chanifa. So this is the symbolism behind the ruach of the kanfeim, the ruach of the gased ruach, and the Chanifa of the fact that it was a Chasida bird. And and where are they going? They're going to Shinar. Sheyadu lebavel. Fred the Gemara, v'gasas ruach lebavel nachis. V'ama mar asara kavim gasas yadu leolam. 10 levels of gasas, of haughtiness, came down to the world, of arrogance. Tisha not le'elam. 9 were taken by the Persians. 9 were taken by the Elam is Persia. V'achas koloim kula. So how can you tell me what? It came down to Bavel. It says we're in. The Bavel nachis. It came down to Bavel. And it made its way over to Elam. Libnois bias. It says to go ahead. The lashon law is a lashon yachid, right? It doesn't say both. It just says one. So libnois bias. Rashi says v'loikasiv lahen alma ha'achad levada nisyashva sham. Only one's going to live there. And what? Kolam kula bias be'eretz shina. Shmamina. So you see over here that what? The fact that it was one, that it came down in one place, and I guess it was nachas what to the other place. That's the way I learned. I don't know if it's right pshat. Law is v'lashon yachid. The chanufa bunsa beis sham v'gasas ruach himshicha. Okay, so the chanufa came to Bavel and stayed in Bavel, but it only stayed there in Bavel. That's chanufa, but gasas ruach continued on. You know, you built something in Bavel. That's chanifa. But the gasas ruach, when it wasn't built in Bavel, it came down to Bavel. But where did it go from Bavel? It went to Elam, and that's what the Gemara is saying right now, and it's meduyik in the pasuk like that. Okay, says the Gemara, Vama Shmamina. Fred the Gemara, Vama Mar Simin legasas ruach aniyos. The simin of gasas ruach is poverty, and in the Bavel nachis, lebavel nachis, and not to Elam. It seems the Persians were not poor, but Bavel was. You're telling me now that Gasas Ruach came to Bavel, but it made its way to Elam. So why are the Babylonians poor rather than the Persians? Says my Aeneas. You know what Aeneas means? It doesn't mean Aeneas in poverty in physical matters. It means Aeneas b'Torah. It means Aeneas b'Torah. And what? And Elam Taka are Aniyim in Torah. Elam, the Persians are Aniyim in Torah. So that's what it means. Achos lanu kitana, we have a sister who doesn't have a chest. Rabbi Yochanan say Elam shezacha lilmoid, they're zeicha to learn, but zeicha l'lamed, they're not zeicha to what, to go ahead and teach. It's Chachamim, Daniel, and Mordechai. They learned Torah, but they didn't teach Torah. Right? That's the Persians, Daniel and Mordechai. They learned Torah, but they weren't zeicha to teach Torah. Therefore, they're compared to Aeneas. But in Bavel, Ezra not only learned Torah, but he went ahead and he spread Torah. And therefore, that's the difference. The Aeneas of Torah went to Elam along with the Gasas Ruach. Since it was Gasas Ruach in Elam, in Persia, so Memela, they were Aeneas in Torah. My Bavel, on Rabbi Yochanan, Belula, it means it's mixed. The Mikra, in Chumash, Belula b'Mishnah, mixed in Mishnah. Belula b'Talmud, mixed in Talmud. Okay, very famous Tosfos here, guys. Top Tosfos. Very, very famous Tosfos. Balula b'mikra b'mishnah, Pirish Rabbeinu Tam, the Talmud Shalanu with our Gemara with Talmud Bavli, Anu Poitrim Atzmenu, we pat ourselves in Mashal Mechachomim, La'olam Yashlish Adam Shenoisav, Shlish b'mikra, and Shlish b'shas. In other words, Bavli does that. Learning Gemara takes care of Chumash, right? It takes care of Navi. It takes care of Mishnah, and it takes care of Gemara. Afal Pikain, Anu Kairim B'chol Yoim, Halavai, Parshas HaTamid, which is Mikra, V'shaynim B'mishnayas Ezel Mekayman. Then we learn Ezel Mekayman, which what is Mishnah. V'garsin Rabbi Shmuel Leimer B'shleish Ezel Midvish, which is Gemara. So that's the reason this is the source for the three things that you say every day, or should say every day. The source is what? Mishnah is the Parshas Tamid. The Mishnah is Ezel Mekayman, that we say, and Rabbi Shmuel Leimer is the kiyum of Gemara, the 13 hermeneutical laws. Now what? That we go ahead and say. It says very geschmack. Now the pasuk we conclude the machashakim hoshivani kimesei olam. Says David, machashakim hoshivani kimesei olam. Why did I say David? I don't mean David. I meant so we're discussing Bavel and its flaws in learning. So the last pasuk before the Mishnah on Chav Daled Amud Aleph, the last pasuk in the Mishnah Chav Daled Amud Aleph, it says that Yirmiyah in Eicha, Yirmiyah laments, b'machashakim, in darkness, Hashivani, you have placed me, Kimesi Olam. Right? You have placed me what? Kimesi Olam. That's what it says. What is the Gemara Darshan? Amar Rebbe Yirmiyah. Very interesting, guys. Like Yirmiyah who wrote this, and Amar Rebbe Yirmiyah is coming to go ahead and explain it. Amar Rebbe Yirmiyah said Talmudo Shel Bavel. When it speaks about darkness, it speaks about the Talmud of Bavel, the Lashon of Choshech. Why? Because we see that they fought with each other, they weren't noyach, and there was machlokes. So it begs to question, guys. We just had a Gemara where basically we bombed out Bavel vis-a-vis Eretz Yisrael, right? Mamish, we conclude the Gemara with Yirmiyah saying, you place me what? In darkness. What is darkness? Talmud Bavel, the learning of Bavel. That's what it says, right? It said Talmud Bavel. So let me ask you a question. So why do we learn Bavli? What are we doing now? We're learning Talmud Bavli. What are we doing now? It's like wild. So this is so interesting. This is the first time that my morning Seder and the Daf has corresponded to each other. I'm learning Yuma, and I wrote down in my Ksavim, I have this probably from last time, this Ritva. So I share with you the Ritva to explain why Bisman Hazeh, we're going to go ahead and even though it's compared to darkness, why do we go ahead, taka, and learn Bubble? Okay, so here it is. You see Jewish letters? Kenny, you see Hebrew letters? Yes? Okay, watch.
Yes.
I'm told, guys, this is the Ritva, Daf Nun Zayin and Yuma, if you're interested. The Ritva, Daf Nun Zayin and Yuma. Emtol, the diary ba'ara de chashucha, since you live in a dark land, Amri shmaitza de chashichin. You say over Torah, that's machashich. Pirish HaRambam Zal, b'tshuva shala de Rav Yirmiyah l'tamei. The Amar, this is Rav Yirmiyah who said this. He goes according to his reasoning that he says in Sanhedrin Chav Dalid, b'machashachim ha'shivani k'mesei olam. Zed Talmud Bavli. Good, so you see the same thing. Since you live in a dark place, you say dark Torah. You say something that is not clear. And Rav Yirmiyah said this in Masechta Yuma, and it's clear he meant but the same thing that he said in Masechta Sanhedrin. V'taima mishum d'loinehiri lahon tami demasnaisa ka'halacha. It wasn't clear. It wasn't lit up for them. The reason of the Brises ka'halacha or the Mishnayos kimod denehiri l'Rabbanan Eretz Yisrael, like it was clear to the Rabbanan Eretz Yisrael. Reb Zera Nami. Guys, the Gemara says Reb Zera Nami boy de lishtakach le taima de bavli. The Gemara says he davened Reb Zera. We know Rabbi Zera, remember we had the smicha, we had the thing smicha that Rabbi Zera they want to get smicha. So why? He wanted to give him smicha, he didn't want it, and then he said he should get it. We had this Gemara earlier. So Reb Zera became Rebbe Zera because he went from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. You know what he did when he came to Bavel to Eretz Yisrael? He tried to forget his Torah of Bavel because the Torah of Bavel was not good; it was dark. It wasn't clear to Reb Zera after he heard the reasoning of Eretz Yisrael. Now, in other words, if you have no means of comparison, you don't know what's wrong. Once he got to Eretz Yisrael and saw the Torah of Eretz Yisrael, he realized what was wrong. And therefore he davened that he should forget the Torah of Bavel. Now, the minhaga da alma, it's the way of the world. The mitka inish tfei, my degama beresha. A person's going to remember what he learned first. We call it gersa yankusa. So he had to get rid of the Torah that he learned first in Bavel. Miu, lav b'chad, here's the key, guys. Miu lav b'chal adaris hayakain. It wasn't this way in every generation. Ela b'mei Rabba v'Rab Yosef v'Abaya v'Rava. The Havile Shmados. They were living a shashashmad. You know when it was dark, when they were being oppressed by people, by oppressors. Kidi Isa ba'aseichas apoilim v'amina nami v'perik elu trefis. That Reb Zer Arki is lashon of refugee. They ran. Rabbi Reb Yosef ran. Reb Zera amalahu arukoi. He said to refugees, "Where are you going?" We see they were running because of Shmad. They didn't forget their Torah. Is considered a tough place. That's the reason Reb Zera to forget his Torah of Bavel, and Reb Yirmiyah said it was darkness, because this was the Torah of during the Shmad. This is all the lashon of the Rambam and the Tshuva, that this was the Torah of the Shas Shmad. However, Achrei came Niskabra HaTorah beBavel after Shas Shmad. The Torah became very, very powerful in Bavel. Kol Shekaim b'mei Reb Oshia, certainly in the days of Reb Oshia, Daminon miyamos Rebbe v'ad Reb Ashi. I said Reb Oshia Reb Ashi. Daminon miyamos Rebbe v'ad Reb Ashi, from the days of Rebbe until Reb Ashi. Loimotzinu Torah u'gedula b'makam echad. And therefore, at that time, by Rav Ashi, who wrote the Gemara, guys? Ravina Rav Ashi, right? So our final say in the Gemara is after everything went south. And now he got it together. Because why? Because it wasn't such a shmad, and he saw everything in front of him. And Rav Ashi had total clarity. Therefore, we say from Rebbe, the one who codified the Mishnayos, to Rav Ashi, who codified the Gemara, you don't find Torah Gedul Makam Echad. Clearly, the Torah is without a doubt clear. Al Kain Divri Rabbeinu Zal, says the Ritva. These are the words of Rabbeinu, the Rambam. V'chayim heim lemitzayihem, and it brings life to those who found them. Beautiful, beautiful Ritva, guys. Right? Beautiful Ritva. Right? Beautiful Ritva. To explain why we go after Bavel. Why we go after Bavel. Nate, after Shia, go look at the Taisus, the top Taisus Chavdalit. After Shia, you'll look at it. Not in the middle of Shia. After Shia, you'll look at it. Look, he grew payas. Look at that. You see this payas there? Got line of payas. Anyway, Geshmak, guys, right? It's very, very. Put down that Ritva. It really explains things. You have in Yiksavim. The Ayin Ritva, Nun Zayin Amid Aleph Amtu. Okay, very Geshmak. Anyway, says the Mishnah. Now, this Mishnah we said yesterday, guys. We quoted this Mishnah yesterday, and this is where we said that an aid, if you accept an aid, is 2, and the Gemara wanted to know if that's the pshat, that you accept the aid is 2, according to Reish Lakish, that's the pshat in Reb Meir in the first Mishnah. Why would we repeat it over here? Repeating the same thing. Why did you say? Amaloi, Neman Olai Abba, my father's believed. Neman Olai Avicha, your father. Now, these people these are puzzle to judge your case. They're kroivim. So they're puzzle to go ahead and judge your case. But if a person says that, then what? Nemanam alai shleisha roi baka, or these 3 roi baka, they're neman alai. Rameyo Omer, yochel lachse boy. you can go ahead and change your mind. We'll see exactly when, but you can go ahead and change your mind. In other words, I thought initially I could deal with this, but no. You can't change. Once you accept them, you can't change. Again, we'll see exactly when the machlokes is. If you were chayiv to your chaver shvua, v'amaloi, and he says to him, Darli b'chayi roishcha. He makes a neder in chayi roishcha. No, it's a lashon shvua. He's chayiv mishvua deraisa pashtus. He's chayiv mishvua in bezdin, right? And he goes ahead and says, I swear, I make a neder in my life. Does that pat him from the shvua? He's able to be lachsaboy. He's able to change his mind. Right? You're not able to change your mind, right? And you're not able to change your mind and request what more of a shvua. This, if you made this shvua, you can't request another shvua. Any yochel lachsaboy. Like Rabbi, you could request the real shvua. Like him, you can't. Okay, the Gemara is. I have a chart I'm going to put out. First, let's get the words down a little bit, and I have a chart that's going to make things easier. Rav Dimi, Breder Rav Nachman, Breder of Yosef, Kigoin, the Kabli Aleha Bechad. We're speaking about there are other two kosher dayanim. There's one, and there's two other kosher dayanim, and this is the one, and this is the one, the father or his father or your father, the other nitva, the Taiveya. Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Machloikis, the machloikis between Reb Meir, who says you could change your mind, and the Chacham that you can't change your mind, b'machalacha, is speaking, and he says the following. The Taiveya, the Malva says to the Loiva, your father, my father is what? Is believed, and therefore, if you win, I'm Michael. Again, the Malva says to the Taiveya is the Malva, says to the Nitva, and if you win, I'm Michael. Good. That's when there's a machlokes. Aval be'etein lecha, but he says when I'll give to you. Now we're speaking about the loiva. The loiva says what? If I'm chayiv, I'll give it to you. Divrei akol yochel achsaboy. Everyone would say you could change your mind. If you say machal, right? You the guy has the money already. You keep it, the status quo. But if you want to be mitzi money from me, according to Shmuel, even the Chachamim would say Yachal Aksabai. If you use the lashon of Etein Lecha. Because why? I still have the money, says Rashi. Aval Etein Lecha, the Nitva Omar L'Taiveya, the Loiva, the one who's being claimed from, says to the claimer, Im Yechayvuni Abba Oyavicha, if my father or your father is M'chayiv me, Etein Lecha I'll give to you. Divri Akol Yachal Aksar, the Hoyel V'Amamim B'Yadai, since the Loiva has the money, he doesn't have the ability to go ahead and be mitzi b'dayon ksherim. So says Shmuel, there's a chilik between machalacha and etein lecha. By machalacha, that's the machlokes. By etein lecha, everyone's mighty in the chachamim that yachal achsaboy. Rabbi Yochanan Amar be'etein lecha machlokes. You know when's machlokes? Be'etein lecha. Now what's the question? What's the din by machalacha? What's the din by machalacha? Right? Be'etin l'cha machlokes, but what's the dimah machlokes? Confirm your speaking language. It sounds like you might have switched to a different language. Please update it so we can provide better quality. Maybe I threw in some Yiddish. I don't know. They said he's speaking a foreign language.
I think it's Nasan.
I think you made fun of my Gekazel Tobias. That's what.
Yeah, I was impressed. Anyway, okay, let's see what we got here. Let me get rid of this. You see a chart? You don't see a chart? You do see a chart, right?
Yes, it's fine.
Yes.
Okay, good. Let me make it a little bigger. Okay. Okay. So here we have the opinion of Rabbi Huda Rishmuel. Machalacha is the machlaikis. Etin lecha, everyone says you can change your mind, right? And the chilik is because you didn't give the money yet. Now, Rabbi Yochanan said by etin lecha is the machlaikis. He did not say what machalacha would be. That's the question. He didn't say. Good. I'm going to leave this open, guys. Okay. Let's see now. Back to Gemara. Iboilahu. The Gemara has a shaila. Be'etin lecha machlaikis. Aval mamachalcha divrei kol ein yachalach sabai. Even Reb Meir would be maida that you can't change your mind by machalacha because after all the money is staying where it is. Aydilma bein bezu machlaikis. So this over here, guys, this question is you say it's ein yachalach sabai or is it machlaikis? That's the question over here. By this over here is it machlaikis or it's ein yachalach sabai? Good. Now, Amar Tashma, let's be pushed at the question. Amar Rava, Machlaikis be'etin lecha. Machlaikis says Rava is be'etin lecha, right over here. That's the Machlaikis. Aval be'machal lecha, Tivri akol ein yachalach sabai. So machal lecha, even Reb Memeya would be moed ein yachalach sabai. Machlaikis would be by etin lecha. Now, Amit b'shleima be'etin lecha machlaikis. B'shleim, you can say be'etin lecha machlaikis. Aval b'machal lecha, Tivri akol ein yachalach sabai. Then what? Rabbi Damak Rabbi Yochanan. In answer to the question, guys, if we fill in over here and Yachalach Sabai, that's our question. Is it a machlokes or in Yachalach Sabai? If we take this and put it up here, Rava is synonymous to Rabbi Yochanan. He holds like Rabbi Yochanan. Ella, Iamid bein bezu machlokes. If you take away this question mark and you put machlokes in over here, then Rabbi does not hold like Rabbi Yochanan. He agrees with him over here. He disagrees with him over here. So we have a problem. We think Rabbi doesn't hold like Rabbi Yochanan. So it must be Rabbi Yochanan says Yachalach Sabai. That's what we want to say. Now, guys, Rabbi is an Amayra, Rabbi Yochanan is an Amayra. He's not arguing on a Tana. Says the Gemara, I'amit bein bezu machlaikis, Rabbi Damek Kiman. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Taimid in Nafshi Kama. Rabbi was saying his own reasoning. Rabbi Taimid in Nafshi Kama. Right? He was saying his own reasoning, meaning, guys, Rabbi argues on both Rabbi Yochanan and he argues on Rabbi Yehuda, on Shmuel. Watch, guys, look at the chart. Look at the chart. By Etein Lecha, he argues on Rabbi Shmuel, because Shmuel said Yachalach Sabai, and he said that's the Machlokes. He argues on Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says Machlokes over here, and he says En Yachalach Sabai. So he argues on Rabbi Yochanan over here and Shmuel over here. And that's what Rashi says, the bottom line, the bottom Rashi, guys, Taimid in Nafshi Kama, Rabbi is saying his own thing, Upligi Atravayu. And he argues both on Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan. Geschmack. Okay, we'll get back to the chart soon. Esavei Rav Acha bar Tachlifa l'Rava. You chayiv l'chaver shvua. You chayiv to your friend the shvua. V'amaloi, and you say to him, Dorli b'chayi reishcha. I swear to you on my life. I mean, I make a neder on my head, on my life. Okay, be more viduyik. Remeya oimer. Remeya is of the opinion. Yachalach sabai. Remeya is of the opinion. You're able. This is our Mishnah. You're able to change your mind. The chachamim remain yachalach sabai. You can't change your mind. On the base. My love. What shvu are we speaking about? Lav bo'osin hanishboyin v'loy mishalmin. A shvu ma'id b'miktzas. You swear to get off the hook. You want to pater yourself. So, right? You want to pater yourself. That you don't pay what the guy's claiming. Guys, if you're not paying what the guy's claiming, that's machalacha, right? The guy's not receiving anything. So, the havile k'machalacha. It's like machalacha. So, what do you see? You see, you wanted to say, Rava, fellas. You, Rava, wanted to say, machalacha, what? You wanted to say, machalacha is what? Ein yachalachzar. What do you see over here? The Chacham say Ein yachalachzar? And Rameya says what? Yachalachzar. So you don't come out like Rameya. You wanted to say everyone holds ein yachal lachsa. Guys, Rabbi says everyone holds. There's no machlokes. But look, Reb Meir is arguing. Reb Meir is arguing on this. It is a machlokes. In other words, what's the question on Rava? You Rava say by machalacha. There's no machlokes. We see by machalacha there is a machlokes. If we're learning that the shvua was a shvua of what? Of to get yourself off the hook, that's machalacha. And Rava says they both argue, and the Mishnah says they both argue. Rava, you say machalacha, they don't argue. That's the kasha, guys. Look, you see it over here? That's the kasha. Right over here is the kasha. We have the Mishnah saying it's a machlokes, and you say in yachlaksa. Says the Gemara, no. It's not speaking about a shvua to go ahead and get off the hook. It's speaking about a shvua to take. You're a sachir. You rented something. You've stolen from you, and you're being right. And in a case where you're claiming something to collect, so it's like the nitfa saying, I'll swear and I'll collect. So therefore, swearing collecting, guys, is what? Look at the chart. Swearing collecting is etein l'cha. By etein l'cha, what does Rava say? It's a machlokes. So it fits in very good with the Mishnah. The oisen hanishboy v'noilin, the havlei etein l'cha. For the Gemara, if that's the case, for tanolei reisha, right? If that's the case, you said the Mishnah is speaking be'etein l'cha, v'tarti lamali. You said that the first case is speaking about etein l'cha. So if the first case is speaking about etein l'cha and the second case is speaking about etein l'cha, right? Why do you have to go ahead and tell me this? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Tana toileb das acherim, das toileb das acherim, where the member of the Sanhedrin, your father or his father, is going ahead and be mechayiv you. The Tana toileb b'das atzmei, where you yourself is making what? The claim. So there's two cases. Two cases of etin l'cha. There's a case where you say etin l'cha if my father or your father finds me guilty, and etin l'cha where you make a shvua saying that what? If I'm found guilty, I'll pay up. Good? I'll pay up. That's what it's saying. Says the Gemara. B'tzricha, you need to tell me both. The Tana toileb das acherim, case number one, by the dayanim, the father dayanim, b'hakam Reb Meir, that yachal achsabay. The matzi hadabei mishum, the like gomer umakna. He doesn't really go ahead and mean to go ahead and pay up. The Amar, mi yemed the mizakale, mi yemed the mizakale. How do you know he's going to win? I will tell you that's atzmai, where it's himself, ema moidlei rabbanon, that ein yachal achsabay. Guys, think about it. How does asmachta work? Why doesn't an asmachta work? Because you don't really mean it. You don't really mean it. You're putting money on the table. We're going to get the next Mishnah. You don't really mean to losing the money. You figure it. You say something that is totally, and it's a machta. You go ahead, you set your father up as the dayan. You think you're going to lose? So there, maybe over there, Reb Meir says, Yachal achsabai. Masha ein kain, where you yourself say, on myself, you make a shvua, you would think that what? That after all, you really mean it. You're saying it. You're the one saying it's upon me. No dayan. I'm not totally b'das acherim what he's going to paskin. I myself know. Oh, in that case, I would say maybe Reb Meir is moida in yachal achsabay. Kemash malon, the way Rav is learning the sefer of the Mishnah, that still Reb Meir is what argues and says yachal achsabay. V'yashmina b'ha in the second case, b'ha ka'ami rabbanon, that ein yachal achsabay. Why? Because it's you. Aval behachi, by the case of Dayanim, ema moidlei rabbanon, that what? Maybe Reb Meir, that the rabbanon would be made to Reb Meir that yachal achsabay, because it's like a smachta, because you're not goymer makna, because you don't think your father is going to be mechayiv you. So it's really tell me both cases. Bottom line is, it's not shver on what? It's not shver on Rava, right? It's not shver on Rava. Okay, that was the first chart. Now we have a second chart. Okay, let's see the Gemara. Amrei Shlakish, Machloikis lefnei Gemar Din. The Machloikis is before there's a Gemar Din. Aval ach Gemar Din, Divri Akol in Yachalach Sabay. After the Gemar Din, everyone's of the opinion in Yachalach Sabay. Look at the sheet, the guys, Reish Lakish. Lefnei Gemar Din Machlokes, La'achar Gemar Din, even Reb Meir would be Moide Ein Yachal Achsa Bay. After this Gemar Din, from the Dayan, Ein Yachal Achsa Bay. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, La'achar Gemar Din Machlokes. La'achar Gemar Din is the Machlokes. What about Lefnei Gemar Din? Would the Chachamim be Moida to Rabbi Meir? Machlokes is after the Gemar Din. Would the Chacham be Moida to Rabbi Meir before the Gemar Din? That's the question. Iboilahu. La'achar Gemar Din Machlokes Avalfei Gemar Din Divrei Kol Yachal Achsa Bay. The Chacham would be Moida to Rabbi Meir. Idilma Bein Bezu Machlokes. So maybe it's Machlokes in both. Same shaylas we had before. Dama Rava, Tashma, Dama Rava, Kibul of Karav a Puzzle. Okay, if you makabel on yourself a Karav of a puzzle. Okay, you makabel on yourself, right? You makabel Kibul of love. You makabel what a Karav or a puzzle. As what as a dayan? Yeah, as a dayan. Now, so you makabel a Karav a puzzle as a dayan. Lefnei Gemar Din, Yachal Achsa Bay. La'achar Gemar Din, Ein Yachal Achsa Bay. So if it's Lefnei Gemar Din, Yachal. La'achar Gemar Din, Ein Yachal. Okay? So what do you see? Iyam b'shneim la'achar Gemar Din Machlokes. Aval Lefnei Gemar Din, Yachal. Look, guys, the way I wrote it. Right? Yachal under here. Yachal. Rava Damak Rabbi Yochanan. Rava is holding Rabbi Yochanan. El Amid Bein Bezu Machlokes. Rava Kaman. Now you're not going to say Rava time of the nafshe ka'amah because there's no svara to say that what that you no svara to say over here that what any yachol. No svara to say that before the Gemara Din you shouldn't be able to. I mean he says the machlokes. Okay, if Rashi deals with it, look at Rashi. Rava Dama Kaman. Bein l'Reish Lakish, bein l'Rabbi Yochanan, right? Bein l'Reish Lakish, bein l'Rabbi Yochanan, l'Rabbanan, l'fnei Gemar Din, whether it's Reish Lakish or Rabbi Yochanan, according to the Rabbanan, l'fnei Gemar Din, right? The Leichadar. The whole lekal okay, they both hold in the Shitur Chachamim that what? That the Leichadar, that you don't go back. He said the Rabbanan hold that what? That you can't go back. That you can't go back. Bein Reish Lakish, bein Rabbi Yochanan, l'Rabbanan, l'fnei Gemar Din, ka'amri, the Leichadar. V'lekal l'meimed the Rava Reish Lakish, v'aliba the Reb Meir, Amar l'Shmaitza, l'Shavik Rabbanan v'avik Reb Meir. So in other words, since the Rabbanan hold that Ein Yachal, there's no svara to say that Rava would go against that if Lei Gemar Din. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, it could go. The Reish Lakish not, Rabbi Yochanan yes. The Paskin l'kaman alach chachamim. Why can't you say Rav is saying his own reasoning? Maybe they're Moida before Gemar Din, that ain't that Yachal Achso. Rabbi Yochanan bein bezu machlokes. The loy Iri Rav pluk the klal. Rav is not speaking about machlokes. Ela mifsek pasuk dina. Guys, Rava is not going ahead and entering this machlokes. I think I just lost it. I'm not sure. I think I lost the whole thing. I think you got it. Yeah, I lost it. Okay. So Rav is not, you can't say in answer to the question, why don't we go ahead and say that Rav l'tamei, because Rav wasn't bin nichlas machlokes. He was saying if you set up a card of what the din is, and we're extrapolating from din, then it must be in Rabbi Yochanan, you say Yachol. Allah Shema lachem mar din machlokes shema mina. The Gemara says it's a good raya. Sholach le Rav Nachman by Rav Yitzchak, Rav Nachman by Yaakov. Il Medenu Rabbeinu l'fnei Gemar Din machlokes. Is the machlokes between Reb Meir and the Chachamim before the Gemar Din or after Gemar Din? Right? Says the Gemara. V'halacha kedivrei mish. V'halacha kedivrei mi. So when's the machlokes and who's the halacha like? So sholach lei. So Rav Nachman by Yaakov sent back to Rav Nachman by Yitzchak. L'achar Gemar Din machlokes. Machlokes is after the Gemar Din. Meaning before the Gemar Din, the Chacham would be moida that you could change your mind. Guys, before the Gemar Din, you could change your mind. Machlokes is after the Gemar Din. Halacha k'divrei Chachamim, and the halacha is like the Chachamim, that after the Gemara Din, you can't change your mind. Like Rabbi, you can always change your mind. Like the Chachamim, after the Gemara Din, you can't change your mind. So the Machlokes is after the Gemara Din, and we pass like the Chachamim, but you can't change your mind. Ravashi Omar Hachi Shalach Le Hachi Shalach Le Be'etin Lecha Machlokes or B'Meichel Lecha Machlokes. Allah Kedevrei Mi Shalach Le Be'etin Lecha Machlokes, but that's the Machlokes. Allah Kedevrei Chachamim. So by Machalacha, the Chachamim would agree that what? That second. Machalacha, the Svara to say the Chachamim. Machalacha, it's Machal to you. Then but Meir would be Moida that Ein Yachal Achsa by Machalacha, right? By Machalacha, he'd be Moida. There's no Machlokes by what? Like the Chachamim, there's no Machlokes by what? By according to Rabbi Yochanan, Be'etin Lecha Machlokes by Machalacha. Yeah, like Rava. Yachal Achsa by Machalacha. What did Rava say by Machalacha? I'm getting confused. Ein Yachal Achsa by Machalacha, right? So there, Reb Meir would be Moida, guys. Machalacha again, it's in his hands. Reb Meir would be Moida Ein Yachal Achsa by. Besura Masnei Hachi. Surah, we just learned the same way that Machlokes is by Etin Lecha, but by Machalacha, everyone say you can't change your mind. Bepavadisa Masnei Hachi. Amar Chanina Bar Shalmei Shochalim Yibei Rav Shmuel Yimudenu Rabbeinu L'fnei Gemar Din V'konim Yadai Mai. What's the din? It's L'fnei Gemar Din, but they made a kinyan. Shalachlu Ein Lacha Kinyan Klum. Once you made a kinyan, there's nothing to talk about. No one can go. Everyone will be Moed. Even Rameya, you can't change your mind. Once you made a kinyan, right? In other words, you made a kinyan that initially that you can't change your mind. That's the kinyan. So therefore, you won't be able to change your mind.